Tahira. Really a pleasure to be here with all my fellow Golden Door family members. Today, Tahira, you accused me of being a polymath, and I've been accused of many things. But that's the first time, and it's an honor to be accused of that. I have been called a legend, but I've always said that I'm a legend only in my own lunchtime. So, it's really an honor to be here. I am a musician at heart. I do many things, but I think the most important thing that I do is being a musician. And a musician is an artist. And an artist actually plays a very important part in the community. In the very early primal days, the musician was actually the shaman of a village in primal times. He would supervise the drawing in the caves that we now see when people uncover all this cave drawings and so on and so forth. He would organize the dances. The dances could be to celebrate a harvest, could be to bring in the rains or whatever it is. And also the musician, the shaman was also the witch doctor to provide healing. Nowadays, the musician doesn't have to do the healing so much directly because they are of course doctors and so on and so forth. But a musician still does healing in the way of sending out good energy with his or her music. So I'd like to talk for a minute about how I got started. I was a young boy, and my father used to have jam sessions at home at home. And one day I jumped on the organ that electric organ that my father had bought, and started playing with two hands without any training before that. And my father's friend said, you know, Monty, his nickname was Monty, you gotta sell this organ and buy a piano and get piano lessons for your son. So my father sold the organ and bought a Chinese-made piano called a blessing piano. And indeed, it was a great blessing for me because it went on to be my career. I realized very soon, when I was 14 years old, I already knew I wanted to be a professional musician. And so when I left school at 16 years old, I was lucky to go for an audition and not only get the job as a pianist in the club in Singapore, but also the band leader, where my musicians were 20, 30 years older than I, and I was lucky they gave me the cooperation. I went on the next decade to write jingles. I wrote 700 over jingles, including producing 4 national songs, which are just under the national anthem. Like in America, they also have America the Beautiful, which is a secondary anthem. So I was involved in all 4 national songs, and I composed one of them, besides being the music director for the rest. I left jingles in 1991. I couldn't really take it anymore because it was just too many hours and just too much pressure and too much stress. And the worst thing about it was that you had all these invoices, make you look very rich, but you had no money, and you had to pay all the musicians off and pay the studios. But the clients at that time, the advertising agencies, took forever to pay you. So I said I had enough of this, and went on to concentrate to be a jazz musician in the 1990s. In the 80s, I actually started writing a little bit. I wrote a little bit for the Straits Times. I wrote for Car and Driver magazine, and I was the Far East correspondent for Keyboard magazine in the US. But I took too much time. And so I said, no, I don't want to do this. This is not very productive for me. So today I want to talk a little bit about what it means to be a musician and how to grow to be a musician. I think that art is when mind, body, and spirit are in alignment. Okay, mind for a musician, and I guess you can draw the parallels for whatever career or vocation you have. Mind is the knowledge you gain as a musician, learning the theory, listening to all the great repertoire there is around the world, and just becoming well versed with the theory of music in your head. Body is the physical part. So a musician is I'm very athletic, but only on my fingers, because I've spent hours and hours playing. The rest of me is not very athletic at all. And spirit depends. If you believe in the divine, as I do, then you can get inspiration from the divine. You open up yourself to to the inspiration from the divine. So if you're not a religious person, or if you do not believe in the divine, if you're atheist, for example, then you can draw inspiration coming from nature, from humanity, from your family, and just the beauty of life and friendships and so on and so forth. So when you create music, you have to make sure that when you think about what you want to do, when inspiration comes to you, are you able to process it with the knowledge that you've gained as a musician? Can your lips, if you're a blowing instrument musician, or can your hands, or can your voice, if you're a singer, therefore carry the message that you're receiving that's already gone through the filter of your knowledge? And are you able to open yourself up to inspiration and use yourself as a vessel, as a channel to bring love from wherever your inspiration is coming from and transmit it to your audience? I think that is a very important part of a musician's life. I've done a Christmas concert in Singapore for 14 years, and I have a mission statement when I do my concert. My mission statement is, I want everyone in the audience to leave with a smile on their face and a glow in their hearts. And I think I'm not the only musician who has this kind of sort of ambition and intention whenever we do our art, or whenever we make our music. I think it's very important to us. The very important thing that we have to remember as a musician is that we have to learn the difference between our work and a job. A job to me is something that someone does to make a living and pay the bills. The work is your life mission. So someone could, as his job, be a taxi driver, for example, for 5 days a week, and his work is to, let's say, volunteer at the Salvation Army on Saturday or Sunday. So for me, I think that's very important to realize, because sometimes we have to do work that we don't, a job that we don't really like, playing at a corporate function where no one is listening. And then our work is, of course, playing to people who will give us the time of the day, and so on and so forth. I'd like to talk a little bit about how I've then learned to divide the creative energy that I feel within me in the various manifestations: music and writing now, and also in watch creation. And I have to thank a friend of mine who lives in Milan, near Milan, Bruno Brugnano. He's from Milano. He lives in Bangkok now, a great composer for horror movies of all things. But he actually once spoke to me about how he was able to, on the one hand, work on music, on another hand, work on interior design. And he was also a restaurateur with a lovely Italian restaurant in Bangkok. And he was able to just go between the three. And he said to me, creative energy is creative energy. How you manifest it is up to you. And this gift he gave to me 10 years ago is now very much manifested in my life. I still continue to play music. 54 years since I started playing music, 44 years professionally. Writing now, I'm working on my second book, and also working on watch creation. I would say I'm a watch creator, not a watchmaker, but the watchmaker is the guy that really does all the work in the factory. And I just want to say that it's very important for us to continue to improvise. Creativity is like stem cells. He doesn't know what it is until you apply it to a petri dish to become liver cells or become heart cells. But creativity is definitely something that you do, that you let it flow and let it manifest in every way you want. So please improvise, innovate, find common ground, promote love and goodwill and collaboration, and keep creating, all of you. Thank you.